Welcome to Midnight Murmur. Here, the night comes alive with chilling tales and spine-tingling stories. If you crave the thrill of the unknown and the eerie whisper of the supernatural, you've found your new haunt. Join us as we dive into the darkest corners of the human mind, unraveling short horror stories that will keep you up at night. Hit that subscribe button, turn off the lights, and let the murmur begin. The Reptilian Conspiracy. Dr. Amanda Carter was a respected archaeologist known for her groundbreaking work on ancient civilizations. She had spent years studying the artifacts and ruins of lost cultures, but nothing could have prepared her for what she was about to uncover. It all began with the disappearance of her colleague, Dr. Henry Ellis. Henry had been working on a dig site in the remote deserts of New Mexico. He had stumbled upon something extraordinary, a series of underground tunnels that seemed to lead to a hidden city. Excited by the discovery, he had called Amanda, urging her to join him. But when she arrived, Henry was nowhere to be found. The local authorities were baffled. There were no signs of a struggle, no clues to his whereabouts. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. Amanda, however, couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister was at play. Determined to find her friend, she decided to continue his work and explore the tunnels herself. Armed with a flashlight and a map Henry had left behind, Amanda ventured into the darkness. The air was damp and musty, the walls of the tunnel covered in strange, hieroglyphic-like carvings. She took photographs of the symbols, hoping to decipher their meaning later. As she delved deeper, the tunnels seemed to twist and turn in impossible ways. The further she went, the more she felt as if she was being watched. Her footsteps echoed eerily, the silence punctuated only by the occasional drip of water. After what felt like hours, she stumbled upon a large, open chamber. The walls were lined with what appeared to be ancient artifacts, all meticulously arranged. In the center of the room was a stone altar, covered in dried blood. Amanda's heart raced as she realized she was standing in the middle of some kind of ritual site. Amongst the artifacts, Amanda found a series of scrolls. They were written in an ancient language she didn't recognize, but the illustrations were clear enough. They depicted humanoid figures with reptilian features, scales, claws, and slit-like eyes. The figures were shown performing various rituals, some involving human sacrifices. Amanda's mind raced as she tried to piece together what she was seeing. Could this be evidence of a previously unknown civilization? One that worshipped, or perhaps was ruled by, reptilian beings? The implications were staggering. As she was examining the scrolls, she heard a noise behind her. She spun around, but the chamber was empty. Shaking off her unease, she decided to take the scrolls back to her camp for further study. She carefully rolled them up and placed them in her backpack, unaware that she was being watched from the shadows. Back at her camp, Amanda began to translate the scrolls. She worked late into the night, her excitement growing with each new revelation. The scrolls spoke of an ancient race of reptilian beings who lived alongside humans. They possessed advanced knowledge and technology, and they ruled over humanity from the shadows. According to the scrolls, these beings could shape-shift, taking on human form to blend in with society. They had infiltrated all levels of power, governments, corporations, and even religious institutions. Amanda's hands trembled as she reads the words, realizing the implications. If the scrolls were true, these beings could be anywhere, anyone. Suddenly, her tent was illuminated by a blinding light. Amanda's heart pounded as she looked outside. A group of men in black suits were approaching, their eyes cold and unfeeling. She grabbed her backpack and fled into the night, the men in pursuit. Amanda ran through the desert, her flashlight bobbing wildly. She could hear the men behind her, their footsteps relentless. She knew she couldn't outrun them forever. In a desperate bid for freedom, she veered off the path and into the rugged terrain, hoping to lose them among the rocks and sand dunes. She stumbled upon a small cave and quickly ducked inside. Holding her breath, she listened as the men passed by, their voices growing fainter until they disappeared entirely. Amanda collapsed against the wall, her body trembling with fear and exhaustion. As she sat there, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Her eyes scanned the darkness, and she saw something move. A pair of glowing, slit-like eyes stared back at her. Amanda's blood ran cold. She was not alone. Amanda's mind raced as she tried to process what she was seeing. The creature stepped forward, revealing its full form. It stood over 6 feet tall, its body covered in scales that shimmered in the dim light. Its eyes were a deep, menacing yellow, and its mouth was filled with razor-sharp teeth. The creature hissed, its voice low and guttural. "You should not have come here," it said, its words sending a chill down Amanda's spine. "Your kind is not welcome." Amanda took a step back, her mind racing for a way to escape. "What are you?" she asked, her voice trembling. The creature's eyes narrowed. "We are the rulers of this world," it replied. "We have been here long before your kind, and we will be here long after." Amanda's heart pounded in her chest. She had to get out of there. She turned and bolted for the cave entrance, but the creature was faster. It grabbed her arm, its grip like iron. Amanda screamed, struggling to break free, but it was no use. The creature dragged Amanda deeper into the cave, its grip unyielding. She fought with all her strength, but it was like trying to move a mountain. Eventually, they reached a large, underground chamber. The walls were covered in more of the strange hieroglyphs, and in the center of the room was a massive stone throne. Sitting on the throne was another reptilian being, even larger and more imposing than the one that had captured her. It regarded Amanda with a cold, calculating gaze. "What have we here?" it said, its voice echoing through the chamber. Amanda struggled to speak, her fear overwhelming. I found your scrolls," she stammered. "I know who you are." The being on the throne smiled, a chilling sight. "Indeed," it said, "you have uncovered our secrets. But now that you know, you cannot be allowed to leave." Amanda's heart sank. She had to think of a way out, and fast. I can help you," she said, desperation in her voice. "I can keep your secret safe." The being laughed, a sound that sent shivers down her spine. "You misunderstand," it said. "We do not need your help. We have been hiding in plain sight for centuries. You are the one who is in danger." Amanda was thrown into a cell, the heavy door slamming shut behind her. She was alone, the darkness pressing in from all sides. Her mind raced as she tried to come up with a plan. She couldn't give up now. She had to escape, to warn the world about what she had discovered. Hours passed, and Amanda began to lose hope. But then, she heard a noise outside her cell. The door creaked open, and a figure stepped inside. It was another human, a man she had never seen before. He quickly unlocked her cell and gestured for her to follow. "Who are you?" Amanda whispered, her voice trembling. "My name is Michael," the man replied. "I was captured by these creatures years ago. I've been waiting for an opportunity to escape, and you're it?" Amanda nodded, her heart pounding. She followed Michael through the labyrinthine tunnels, praying they wouldn't be caught. The walls seemed to close in on them, the air growing colder with each step. As they neared the exit, Amanda couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Michael seemed to know too much about the tunnels, and he moved with an ease that didn't match his story. She kept her suspicions to herself, focusing on getting out. But just as they reached the cave entrance, Michael turned on her. He grabbed her arm, his grip as strong as the creature's. "I'm sorry, Amanda," he said, his voice devoid of emotion. "But I can't let you leave." Amanda struggled, her mind reeling. "Why?" she demanded. "Why are you doing this?" Michael's eyes turned cold. "Because I'm one of them," he said, his features shifting to reveal the reptilian form beneath. "And I can't let you expose us." Amanda's heart sank. She had been betrayed. She had to think fast. She reached into her backpack and pulled out a flare gun, firing it at Michael. The flare hit him in the chest, and he screamed in pain, releasing her. She didn't wait to see what happened next. She ran, the flare lighting her way as she fled into the night. Amanda ran through the desert, her heart pounding. She could hear Michael's screams behind her, a chilling reminder of the danger she was in. She knew she had to get as far away as possible, but the desert was vast and unforgiving. She stumbled over rocks and sand, her breath coming in ragged gasps. The night was dark, the stars providing little light. She had no idea where she was going, but she couldn't stop now. She had to keep moving. As she ran, she heard the sound of engines in the distance. A group of men on quad bikes appeared, their headlights cutting through the darkness. Amanda's heart sank. They were the same men who had chased her earlier. She was surrounded. The men quickly surrounded Amanda, their expressions cold and unyielding. She tried to run, but they were too fast. They grabbed her, their grips like iron. She struggled, but it was no use. They dragged her to one of the quad bikes and forced her onto it. As they sped through the desert, Amanda's mind raced. She had to find a way out of this. She couldn't let them take her back to the cave. She had to warn the world about the Reptilian Conspiracy. After what felt like hours, they arrived at a remote compound. The men escorted her inside, their expressions unreadable. Amanda's heart pounded as they led her to a room filled with computers and surveillance equipment. Amanda was thrown into a chair, her hands bound behind her back. One of the men, a tall figure with cold, reptilian eyes, stepped forward. "We need to know what you know," he said, his voice low and menacing. Amanda's mind raced. She couldn't reveal everything she had discovered. She had to protect her research, to find a way to escape. "I don't know anything," she said, her voice trembling. The man smiled, a chilling sight. "We know you found the scrolls," he said. "We know you have the knowledge to expose us. Tell us what you know, and maybe we'll let you live." Amanda's heart pounded. She had to think fast. She couldn't give in. She had to find a way out of this. I don't know what you're talking about," she stammered. "I was just exploring the tunnels. I didn't find anything." The man's smile faded, replaced by a look of cold determination. "Very well," he said. "We have ways of making you talk." Amanda's world became a blur of pain and fear. The men tortured her, trying to break her will. They used electric shocks, waterboarding, and other methods too horrible to describe. Amanda's body was battered and bruised, her mind on the brink of collapse. But through it all, she held onto her resolve. She couldn't give in. She couldn't let them win. She had to protect the knowledge she had uncovered, to find a way to escape and warn the world. After what felt like an eternity, the men finally stopped. They left her alone in the dark room, her body trembling with pain. Amanda's mind raced as she tried to come up with a plan. She couldn't give up now. She had to escape. Amanda knew she had to act fast. She had to find a way to escape before the men returned. She looked around the room, searching for anything she could use. Her eyes landed on a loose piece of metal on the floor. It was small, but it might be enough to cut through her bindings. She struggled to reach it, her body aching with every movement. After what felt like hours, she finally managed to grab the metal piece. She worked quickly, cutting through the ropes that bound her hands. Her heart pounded as she finally freed herself. Amanda knew she had to be careful. She couldn't afford to make any noise. She crept to the door and peeked outside. The hallway was empty. She had to move quickly. She slipped out of the room, her mind racing as she tried to find a way out. Amanda moved through the compound, her heart pounding. She had to be careful to avoid being seen. She crept through the hallways, her eyes scanning for any signs of danger. She knew she had to find a way out before the men realized she was gone. As she moved, she heard voices approaching. She quickly ducked into a nearby room, her breath coming in ragged gasps. She listened as the men passed by, their voices fading into the distance. Amanda's mind raced. She had to keep moving. She finally found an exit, a small door that led outside. She slipped through it, her heart pounding with relief. She was free. But she knew she couldn't relax yet. She had to keep moving, to put as much distance between herself and the compound as possible. Amanda ran through the desert, her body aching with every step. She knew the men would be after her soon. She had to find a way to escape, to warn the world about the Reptilian Conspiracy. Her mind raced as she tried to come up with a plan. As she ran, she stumbled upon a small town. It was abandoned, the buildings crumbling and overgrown with weeds. Amanda's heart pounded as she moved through the streets, searching for anything that could help her. She finally found an old gas station, its windows broken and its shelves empty. She crept inside, her eyes scanning for any signs of danger. She knew she had to be careful. The men could be anywhere. In the gas station, Amanda found a working phone. Her heart pounded with excitement as she dialed the number of a trusted friend, Dr. Emily Hayes. Emily was a fellow archaeologist, and she was the only person Amanda could trust with the information she had uncovered. "Emily, it's Amanda," she said, her voice trembling. "I need your help. I found something big." Emily's voice was filled with concern. "Amanda, where are you? What's going on?" Amanda quickly explained everything: Henry's disappearance, the tunnels, the reptilian beings, and the conspiracy. Emily listened in stunned silence, her mind racing with the implications. "I'm coming to get you," Emily said finally. "Stay where you are. We'll figure this out together." Emily arrived a few hours later, her car kicking up dust as she sped into the town. Amanda's heart pounded with relief as she saw her friend. She ran to the car, her body trembling with exhaustion and fear. Emily hugged her tightly, her eyes filled with concern. "Amanda, you look terrible. What happened?" Amanda quickly explained everything again, her voice trembling. Emily listened, her expression growing more serious with each word. "We need to get you out of here," she said finally. "We need to find a safe place where we can figure out what to do next." Amanda nodded. She climbed into the car, and they sped away, leaving the abandoned town behind. Emily took Amanda to a remote cabin in the mountains. It was a small, rustic place, but it was safe. They knew the reptilian beings and their human allies would be searching for Amanda, and they had to stay hidden. In the cabin, Amanda and Emily pored over the scrolls and the photographs Amanda had taken. They worked late into the night, trying to decipher the ancient language and uncover the full extent of the conspiracy. As they worked, Amanda couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. She knew the reptilian beings were powerful and resourceful. They wouldn't stop until they found her. After days of work, Amanda and Emily finally managed to translate the scrolls. The revelations were staggering. The reptilian beings had been manipulating humanity for centuries, using their shape-shifting abilities to infiltrate positions of power. They controlled governments, corporations, and even religious institutions. They had been behind some of the most significant events in human history, steering the course of civilization to suit their own needs. Amanda's mind raced as she tried to process the information. She knew they had to find a way to expose the conspiracy, to warn the world about the reptilian threat. But how could they do it without being caught? They devised a plan to expose the reptilian conspiracy. They would gather evidence and present it to a trusted journalist, someone who could get the information out to the public. It was a risky plan, but it was their only hope. They gathered everything they had: the translated scrolls, the photographs, and Amanda's notes. They knew they had to move quickly. The reptilian beings and their human allies would be searching for them. As they prepared to leave the cabin, Amanda couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. She knew they had to be careful. One wrong move could mean their deaths. Amanda and Emily set out on their journey, their hearts pounding with fear and determination. They knew the road ahead would be dangerous, but they had no choice. They had to expose the truth. They traveled by night, avoiding main roads and sticking to remote paths. They knew the reptilian beings and their allies would be searching for them, and they had to stay hidden. As they traveled, they encountered numerous obstacles, roadblocks, surveillance drones, and even hostile locals. But they pressed on, their determination unwavering. As they were traveling through a dense forest, they were ambushed by a group of men in black suits. Amanda's heart pounded as she realized they had been found. She and Emily fought back, using everything they had to defend themselves. The fight was brutal, the men relentless in their pursuit. Amanda and Emily managed to take down a few of them, but they were quickly overwhelmed. Just as all hope seemed lost, a group of strangers appeared, their faces covered by masks. The strangers fought off the men in black suits, their movements swift and precise. They quickly overpowered the attackers, leaving Amanda and Emily stunned. The masked strangers revealed themselves to be members of a resistance group, a secret organization dedicated to fighting the Reptilian Conspiracy. They had been monitoring Amanda and Emily's progress and had decided to intervene when they saw the danger. The leader of the group, a man named David, explained that the resistance had been fighting the reptilian beings for years. They had infiltrated the highest levels of power and were working to expose the truth. Amanda and Emily were taken to a hidden base, where they met other members of the resistance. They were given new identities and resources to help them in their mission. With the help of the resistance, Emily continued their mission. They gathered more evidence, exposing the full extent of the Reptilian Conspiracy. They worked tirelessly, knowing that the stakes were higher than ever. The resistance launched a series of coordinated attacks on key reptilian strongholds, weakening their control over humanity. The battles were fierce, the losses heavy, but the resistance pressed on, their determination unwavering. Finally, the day came when they were ready to expose the truth. Amanda and Emily presented their evidence to the trusted journalist, who published a series of explosive articles. The world was shocked by the revelations, and the reptilian beings were forced to retreat. In the aftermath of the revelations, humanity began to rebuild. The reptilian beings had been exposed, their control weakened. But the fight was far from over. The resistance knew that the reptilian threat still loomed, and they remained vigilant. Amanda and Emily continued their work, helping to uncover and dismantle the remaining reptilian strongholds. They had become symbols of hope and resilience, their actions inspiring others to join the fight. The world had changed, but the struggle for freedom and truth continued. Amanda and Emily faced the future with determination, knowing that they had made a difference. Months passed, and the world began to settle into a new normal. But Amanda and Emily knew that the reptilian threat was far from over. They continued to work with the resistance, uncovering new information about the reptilian beings and their plans. One day, they received a message from an anonymous source. The message contained information about a new reptilian plot, an attempt to regain control over humanity using a powerful, ancient artifact. They knew they had to act quickly. They gathered a team and set out to find the artifact, determined to stop the reptilian beings once and for all. The search for the artifact led Amanda and Emily to a remote island in the Pacific. The island was rumored to be the site of an ancient temple, where the artifact was said to be hidden. The journey was perilous, the island filled with traps and dangers. They pressed on, their determination unwavering. They knew that the fate of humanity depended on their success. As they explored the island, They encountered more reptilian beings, their eyes filled with malice. The battles were fierce, the stakes higher than ever. But they fought on, their resolve unbroken. After days of searching, they finally found the entrance to the temple. The massive stone doors were covered in ancient symbols, their meaning lost to time. They knew they had to be careful. The temple was likely filled with traps and dangers. As they entered the temple, they were immediately struck by the eerie silence. The air was thick with dust, the walls lined with strange, glowing crystals. They moved cautiously, their eyes scanning for any signs of danger. They finally reached the inner sanctum, where the artifact was said to be hidden. The room was filled with strange, otherworldly energy, the air humming with power. In the center of the room was a pedestal, upon which sat the artifact, a small, intricately carved stone. Amanda and Emily approached the pedestal, their hearts pounding. They knew that the artifact held incredible power, and they had to be careful. As they reached out to touch it, they were suddenly surrounded by a group of reptilian beings. The leader of the group, a massive, imposing figure, stepped forward. "You should not be here," it said, its voice low and menacing. "The artifact is ours." They knew they had to act fast. They fought back, using everything they had to defend themselves. The battle was fierce, the reptilian beings relentless in their pursuit. But Amanda and Emily were determined to succeed. As the battle raged on, Amanda managed to grab the artifact. She could feel its power coursing through her, filling her with a strange, otherworldly energy. She knew she had to use the artifact's power to defeat the reptilian beings. With a surge of energy, she unleashed the artifact's power, sending a shockwave through the room. The reptilian beings were thrown back, their bodies disintegrating into ash. The leader of the group let out a roar of rage, but it was no use. The artifact's power was too strong. Amanda and Emily stood victorious, their hearts pounding with relief. They had succeeded. The artifact's power had defeated the reptilian beings, and the world was safe once more. Amanda and Emily returned to the mainland, the artifact safely in their possession. They knew that the fight was far from over, but they had made a significant step towards defeating the Reptilian Conspiracy. They continued their work, using the artifact's power to uncover and dismantle the remaining reptilian strongholds. The world began to heal, but the threat of the reptilian beings still loomed. Amanda and Emily knew that they had to remain vigilant, to continue their fight for freedom and truth. Years passed, and the world continued to change. The reptilian beings had been weakened, their control over humanity diminished. But Amanda and Emily knew that the fight was far from over. They continued to work with the resistance, uncovering new threats and protecting humanity from the reptilian menace. Their actions had inspired a new generation of fighters, young men and women who were determined to protect their world from the reptilian threat. They had become symbols of hope and resilience, their legacy one of courage and determination. The world had changed, but the struggle for freedom and truth continued. Amanda and Emily faced the future with determination, knowing that they had made a difference. As the years passed, the resistance grew stronger. New alliances were formed with other groups fighting against the reptilian threat. Amanda and Emily traveled the world, meeting with leaders and sharing their knowledge. They discovered that the reptilian beings had infiltrated many other societies, their influence stretching far beyond what they had originally thought. The fight was far from over, but the resistance was prepared. Amanda and Emily continued to lead, their determination unwavering. They knew that the future of humanity depended on their actions, and they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. One day, the resistance received a message from a mysterious source. The message contained information about a final, desperate plan by the reptilian beings. They were planning to unleash a catastrophic event that would decimate humanity and allow them to regain control. Amanda and Emily knew they had to act fast. They gathered their team and set out to stop the reptilian plan. The stakes were higher than ever, the danger greater than anything they had faced before. They traveled to a remote location where the reptilian beings were preparing their final attack. The battles were fierce, the losses heavy. But Amanda and Emily pressed on, their determination unwavering. The final battle took place in a massive underground chamber where the reptilian beings had gathered their forces. Amanda and Emily led the resistance, their hearts pounding with fear and determination. The battle was brutal, the reptilian beings relentless in their pursuit. Amanda and Emily fought with everything they had, using the artifact's power to defend themselves. As the battle raged on, Amanda and Emily faced the leader of the reptilian beings. The massive, imposing figure stood before them, its eyes filled with malice. "You cannot defeat us," it said, its voice low and menacing. Amanda and Emily knew they had to act fast. They unleashed the artifact's power, sending a shockwave through the chamber. The leader of the reptilian beings let out a roar of rage, but it was no use. The artifact's power was too strong. The resistance emerged victorious, the reptilian beings defeated. The catastrophic event had been stopped, and humanity was safe. Amanda and Emily stood in the underground chamber, their hearts pounding with relief. In the aftermath of the final battle, humanity began to rebuild. The resistance worked tirelessly to uncover and dismantle the remaining reptilian strongholds. Amanda and Emily continued their work, using the artifact's power to protect humanity.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more chilling content.